This is something that I don't think anyone saw coming. This was the most unexpected thing that the U.S. administration has done. And it sent not only just shockwaves through South Korea, but it sent shockwaves through the U.S. because this was the largest raid ever in the history of ICE. And that says a lot, with over 300 South Korean nationals arrested within the U.S. And so let's just give a little context. There is no visa apparatus that moves quickly enough to get these people into South Korea, or excuse me, into the U.S. So that they can get operations up and running and then train the workers. The U.S., the administration moves slow. The U.S. government moves super, super slow. So, and to put context on this, the U.S. administration was also pressuring the Koreans to get this plant online quickly. So, perfect storm. Aggressive immigration policy that's anti-immigrant. Aggressive industrial policy that is foreign investment. Okay, foreign investment, anti-immigration. And then bare basics, fundamentals. You know, the Koreans are very, these Korean businesses are very serious. They want to get things done, and they want to get it done right and quickly. So you have this perfect storm of anti-immigrant policy being pushed by the administration, whereas the industrial policy is also being pushed by the exact same administration, but industrial policy coming from outside investment. And you see how these two things can come to a head. So this sent not only though shockwaves through the Korean public, this sent shockwaves specifically through the business community. I want to talk on why that's so important. Because the business community looks at this and goes, the South Koreans just signed on to invest $300 billion in your country, and you still arrested over 300 of their citizens trying to get those investments online. The president of South Korea was just in Washington a week prior to this, and they arrested South Korean citizens trying to get those investments online. So when you're a businessman and you're looking at this and you're going, okay, how do I get my people there? You're from, let's say you're from Germany or France or Switzerland. And you're going, how am I going to invest in the U.S., get businesses created in the U.S., get industries and things online in the U.S., and ensure that my workers can come back here safely without spending a week in a gulag? And I'm not just making that up. There is examples of South Korean detainees who were stuck in a cell with 70 other plus detainees with only 4 bathrooms. These are the real conditions on the ground. And again, let's be clear, they came in with valid visas and they did nothing illegal. They did nothing illegal. And when they now have to go, okay, we've done nothing illegal. We complied with security forces. We applied with immigration forces. We did nothing illegal. And we still got chained up like criminals. Look at this. This is from NBC News. This is a great video and a great breakdown.
Hundreds of workers. Hundreds of workers detained in shackles in the U.S. have returned to South Korea, arriving to applause and dozens of cameras. Officials here telling journalists to not film workers' faces at the airport to protect their privacy. But away from the terminal, where workers reunited with family.
How good does it feel to be home?
Very happy. Very happy.
some spoke publicly for the first time about the immigration raid in Georgia that ignited a diplomatic crisis. These workers said it was like being in a movie with armored vehicles and guns pointed at us, he says. There was no way we could resist, so we all just surrendered and were taken.
Think about that. Think about the context of that. You're at your job. You're doing your job. You've done nothing wrong. You haven't committed a crime. The police show up in force. Guns, tanks, the whole nine. MRAPs, the whole nine. M16s. For a bunch of guys at work. Trying to get a battery factory online. Does this factory even open? Well, LG and Hyundai say it's going to be delayed for the very least. But also, they got to convince their people to go back there. They got to convince those engineers to go back to the U.S. and get that factory back online. Are you going back? Are you risking being thrown in it? These people were... The South Korean government negotiated the release, but it took them a week to get there. To get back home. It took them a week to negotiate that. For all that to be finalized. Do you want to risk being stuck in an American prison? I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Others described the cold conditions and prison food. He says he's feeling, quote, nothing but joy to be home. The drama started September 4th when armed agents...
Look at that. Look at that.
Agents with ICE stormed a $4.3 billion battery factory being built by Hyundai and LG.
Security, we have a search warrant for the whole site.
475 people were rounded up there, accused by immigration officials of working illegal.
You see this? This right here. Rounding them up, chaining them up. These are U.S. allies. They have done nothing wrong and nothing illegal. They have no evidence that they did anything illegal. Chaining them up? Like shackles? Come on. Come on. What are we doing here, guys? What are we doing?
In the U.S. What type of visas they were on, or if they had visas at all, still isn't clear. U.S. authorities saying using foreign laborers hurts American workers.
We are sending a clear and unequivocal message that those who exploit our workforce, undermine our economy, and violate federal laws will be held accountable.
Let's just be clear about that, by the way. Let's just be clear about that. These workers aren't getting paid. These workers aren't getting paid from the U.S. They are, however, getting paid in Korea for the work they were doing there in the U.S. They do not get paid by U.S. government or U.S. corporations. They are Korean workers who work for Korean Hyundai, and they're going to get paid by Korean Hyundai. They are just they are just there in the U.S., in Georgia, to help get the operation off the ground. What are we doing, guys? Really? And then to chain them up, as if they are violent criminals resisting.
The images of Korean workers carted off in handcuffs were on news channels everywhere, sparking outrage here over their treatment.
No one is illegal.
South Korea's government chartering a plane and making a deal to bring them back. A lot of attention is being paid to these images of the South Korean workers arriving home safely and with dignity after an ordeal that could threaten relations with the U.S. The raid has set
It has.
Off alarms at South Korea's biggest companies that are pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into U.S. manufacturing, the sort of foreign investment President Trump has demanded in trade talks. The problem is visas. Companies here often use short-term B1s or B2s or visa waiver programs to get skilled workers onto projects. Even South Korea's president said there needs to be a better system, or companies here might hesitate to gamble on the U.S.
They're not there to take American jobs away, but semiconductors, electric batteries, there's not that much domain expertise in the U.S. right now. And for the Korean companies who invested a lot of money in the U.S., they need to send people there to execute on the business plan.
There's political.
The only way to make this work, if you want foreign investment, the only way to make this work is if you use the foreign workers to help train up the workers in the U.S. That's the only way you make this work. If you want the foreign investment, you're going to have to take some of the foreign workers that come with it to help train up the locals in Georgia, in that small town, who don't know how to do the skills that are necessary for the job that they're making. Someone has to train them. This is true for a McDonald's getting built in a new town, let alone a factory that making batteries. Like, this is basic. What are we doing here? Genuinely, what are we doing here?
Fallout to deal with too, given how upset many South Koreans have been that an ally would treat their workers the way they did. I felt like this wasn't something that would happen in the America we know, he says. Even if perceptions of America change here, she says, I'm not sure that would actually affect the United States. Already, LG has confirmed that the opening of that battery factory will be delayed 2 to 3 months. One challenge, convincing the technicians building it to go back.
Boom, there it is, right there. Right there. Can you convince these technicians to go back? Most people don't want to be arrested, chained, and then put in a jail cell with 72 other people. Most people don't want that. Most people don't want. And she spoke. She was like, well, the repercussions, the repercussions may have fractured relations. Not may. It has. We have already an example of that. Take a look at this. This is from the Korean Jongon Daily. Rookie DP lawmaker demands U.S. apology over ICE raid. Subheader. First-term lawmaker of the Democratic Party demanded the U.S. government formally apologize and take responsible follow-up measures for the week-long confinement of 300 Korean workers who were detained in a U.S. immigration and customs enforcement raid in Georgia earlier this month. The U.S. government must clearly apologize for the insult and human rights infringement suffered by the people of its ally country. Ally country. People are pissed and taking it even a step further. South Korea to probe potential human rights abuses in U.S. raid. This is reported by the BBC. Potential human rights violation. This is insane. This is insane. We are talking about an ally to the United States and the workers from that ally being treated like criminals after investing $300 billion, or trying to invest $300 billion as a deal essentially all but falling apart. But this has helped to make this deal fall apart. It's not just the structural basis of requesting the 90%, because I think there would still be an effort, a really strong effort being put in by the administration had this not happened. I think there would still be a strong fight to ensure that a deal gets made. But now that this situation with the Hyundai factory workers has happened, and their people were treated like fucking crap, and the U.S. and the president of the United States going, I think some people were here illegally. Dude, seriously? You can't even protect your deal on the table? You're still gonna double down and say, yeah, they're illegals. You don't think this fucks up relation? There's no reality where there isn't politics in here in South Korea that, yeah, things are going on. Wild to me. Wild to me. So, this fallout is insane. The fallout from this has already been dramatic as it's turned the general public against Americans. But not only that, what are the next steps? How are you supposed to proceed here? If you are a business, a South Korean business, if you are a business, do you maintain your investments in America? Because you still have 3 more years of this, right? You still have 3 more years of this. How do you protect your investments? Do you send employees there? Do you send executives there? Do you risk sending executives there? Do you risk them getting arrested? This is a serious consideration, and this is why I think that the trade deal, the tariff deal that the South Koreans were negotiating are over for now. They are over for now because I think there's this general wait and see policy of, listen, we cannot restore relations back to how they were. We do not know really what's going on with you. So we're going to do the kind of this wait and see approach. And I feel like that's a little bit evident here by this. Seoul says the U.S. must fix its visa system if it wants Korea's investment. The Korean government has decided to begin discussions with the U.S. government on measures to improve the visa system for Koreans in the U.S. and to prevent a reoccurrence of the workplace immigration raids after the arrest and detention of Korean citizens at the battery plant in Georgia. This is it. This is how you do it. We're not going to send anyone else over until you fix your visa system. We're not even going to play this game. We don't want to risk it. We don't want to risk another international incident. We're not going to risk losing our money and our investment by sending people over there. And if you're a Samsung, if you're a Hyundai, if you're any of these companies, the company that just bought the shipbuilding site in the U.S., how do you get people over there without them being arrested? How do you ensure that they're not going to be arrested? I think the relationship between the U.S., and I think this is going to be probably an unpopular position or opinion. I think where the U.S. and South Korea sit, it's always been the battle of sitting between the giants. I think the U.S. is fundamentally pushing Korea towards the other giant in the East, China, as they can't do simple things like business with the U.S. They can't even enter into contract or to tariff deals without being exploited. This is a bad look for U.S.-Korea relations, and I don't think it's such a small mistake. I don't think it's such an insignificant mistake. I think you take the totality of all this, and from my perspective, I look at this and I go, well, why would I want to do business with the United States? Well, they're screwing me over. They're arresting my people. Why would you want to strike a deal with them? China will stay out of my business. China will leave me the fuck alone. And they'll invite our businesses over there. And we can be competitive. And we can enter trade negotiations. They're already our number one trade partner. They're already Korea's number one trade partner. Hey, we can diversify our economy so that we're not just locked down to the U.S.'s tariffs. This is a dangerous precedent that the U.S. has put relations with South Korea. Like, the U.S. has set this precedent of, hey, we'll just arrest your people. Who cares? Okay, well, if that's the case, we're not going to invest. That's it. That's the show. That's the show. If you guys liked what you watched today, please, please, please like and subscribe. It definitely helps us out. Helps me grow this operation. And I want to get out and do a lot more. So like, subscribe, comment. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't. Tell me what I got wrong. Thank you. See you on the next one.